Welcome to another show. Don't get this twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host, as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm hanging in there. It's freaking hot again. What the hell's up with this weather? It's like the middle of summer and the fall time.
Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna have a
it's
hot,
funny, like,
hot winter.
And yeah, again, people who don't realize that we actually see each other when we're doing it. You look like you're ready to fall down. I know you had a weekend.
Oh my God, so had a weekend. I sold half of my baskets that I made, and mind you, I've been making baskets for 2 years, and with the exception of several that I've given away as presents. But we had a really good turnout, and I was asked to do some stuff for Disney, and I've been asked to go to a couple of different colleges to do demonstrations, and that was all just from being there this weekend. So it was quite the weekend, but I am exhausted.
Yeah, I get that. You look like it.
Yeah.
So again, we have a list of so many things that we always put on the side. And this time we're going to go with, can we really live in today's social climate without going bonkers? Man, it's so difficult with everyone at odds and with social media and politics, and it's so hard now for, I think, people just to have friends without everything going sideways.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
I just keep boundaries with my friends. Like, for instance, with politics these days, like family doesn't talk to one another. And so when it comes to politics, I'll be like, I'm going to give you 2 minutes and then I need you to wrap it up. And I'm not going to take offense to how you feel. I'm going to hear you. But at that 2-minute mark, I'm done listening. And then we just drop it and go on to, we have to drop it and go on to something else. Cause I've made it be known that I need very, very explicit, detailed boundaries so that we could coexist. Because at any given time, whatever I'm working or whatever the politics or whichever way they're going, I see both sides, but I also see that both sides are a bunch of assholes. So I can't get on board of anything exactly.
I agree. I look, these days, you have to have some kind of boundary with people. If not, people will throw you under the bus or call you whatever name they can come up with because you believe something different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, heaven forbid you want to vote for Trump. And again, I think it's like, here's my thing. I don't care who you vote for. It doesn't matter to me. That's why we have what we have in society today. We have this open market where you should be able to vote for whoever it is you vote for and still have friends that believe differently than you. But I think that we've made it a culture war about everything, and not just politics, everything. How whatever
you raise your kids, what you do with your parents when they get a certain age,
religion,
what kind of car you drive, religion. Yep. The people fight over the lamest things. Yeah.
So I think that now everything is a without getting horribly or making it sound bad, everything's a war crime. Whatever you do is not enough. You could believe 98% of what your friends do, and if you say one bad thing, they're just like, I can't believe you're like that, or you said this. And it's like, wait a second. I've always been this person. I remember way back when my friends said something about Trump during his first presidency. And they were like, this guy's horrible. Blah, blah. I said, like, this is the best 4 years I've ever had because I've made more money in the last 4 years than I've ever had. And my best friend goes, so that's more important than these issues? And I went, yeah, because those other issues don't pay my bills. I don't care. And I said, look, for you, awesome. If that's what you're going for, more power to you. And I don't think any less of you either. But other things are more important to me, like putting food on the table and having a roof over my head is number one.
I'm with you, especially with having a kid.
Yeah. And just in general, I think that's what most of us think. But I think that, and again, I don't want to say they, because who knows who they are, but
The Karens of the world. No.
well, but I mean, like the media, or
Hmm.
like they want us divided,
Mhm.
or at least I think they do. Because I think most of us, I would say 95 to 98% are in the middle. We all have our own beliefs. We all believe in different things. We all have friends who think differently, but we still talk to them at work, and we still hang out with them when we can, or we have a drink with them, shoot the shit, talk about the things we like, and then head off to the next thing.
Yep.
And I mean, it must be really hard for you because, you're in the hair business. So people talk the whole time.
Everybody talks to me. Everybody. I get calls for people to run things by me. I work behind the chair, so of course everybody's got something to say. It's exhausting. It is exhausting, but I've learned how to just not have an opinion. You just go, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying here. Yeah, you're not wrong there. And I'll try to find places to agree with them, but then I don't say anything. But I've kind of always been like that. I keep my opinions to myself, because when I say something that's different than what my friends think, then I'm picking on them, or I'm being mean, or I got judgment, and that's not the case. It's just me having an opinion, but the way it's perceived is going to be different. So I try to keep a clear road on that, and just not go there. Because truly, do anybody's opinions pay my bills or take care of my shit? No. So do I really need to care about it? Not really.
Right. And I think that's, it's funny that my friend down the street, that's like her biggest statement, exactly what you just said. What do I care? They don't pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
People's opinions don't matter because they're not taking care of me. You're
not supposed to know what other people think of you anyway. It's not your business.
Close friends, I think, yes. Look, me and you say a lot of things to each other, so we know where we stand on a lot of things. But I also think that there's things that we probably still and will never know about each other unless something takes us down that road. You know what I mean? Because we're pretty open. I mean, we've sat in some Denny's, and
there's nothing you can't tell me.
No, I agree.
It's whatever you want to keep to you is yours, but it's not like you can't.
Correct. And I think, exactly. That's not what I mean. Yeah, we both know we can say anything to each other. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that whatever we keep close to the chest is for us for whatever reason. And I guarantee there's things I didn't know a lot of things about you for a lot of years until we did a show about it. So think about that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
I do.
Because in our relationship, that didn't matter. That wasn't something that was going to like start or stop our friendship. That's not what that was about. You kept it close to the chest for you, and that's fair. And like I said, I mean, even during my divorce, I think that there was probably things I didn't tell you. There was a lot that I'm sure, yeah. But I'm sure there was a lot that I probably floored you with, and you were like, oh, like maybe it wasn't. Look, every marriage is good on the surface because that's what we want.
Well, I didn't see it as being good. For some reason, your marriage just didn't sit right with me. I didn't say anything. I supported it because it's none of my business, just like you supported mine, and not everybody agreed with it. But you got to let people go through whatever their lessons are on this earth. They got to learn that. They got to go through it. They have to experience what they're going through. And she was definitely a soul that was supposed to be with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have your son. So
exactly.
Why would I say anything?
And I think that's with everyone. Look, we all have these trials and tribulations, right? Of everything and everyone we meet. The whole quote that we meet people for a reason is true. And reasons we have friends for reasons are true. look, my best friend and me, we are best friends of 40 years. Most of the things we talk about are things that are still from our childhood. We're comic book fans. We're, sports fans. We're into wrestling. Do we talk about real life? Sure, but not on the level that you would think best friends do.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to my friend down the street probably more as my best friend now than most, because I think I can tell her anything and she doesn't judge me for it. And we both have kids and families, and we have things that also we can um uh bring each other together with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't talk to her about pop culture. We don't talk about Star Wars. That's just not what we do. We talk about, hey, this is what's going on in my kid's life and your kid's life, or things that she's going through or I'm going through. So we all have those things for a reason. And thankfully with her, we talk about social media, and both of us use it. We'll go on TikTok and we'll send things to each other, and she gets a lot of recipes off there, whatever. But she said the other day, I just wish they'd all go away. And I went, yeah, so do I. And I said,
I don't
wouldn't
know.
it
I
be
kind of
nice if
like
we,
that we could get a hold of anybody we need to get a hold of at a push of a button.
no,
I
but
like that.
we're not talking about, but this is what I told her. I said, but we have to keep text messaging, FaceTime, you know, look, those are great handy things to have. I still would prefer to talk to people. I love, if I have a chance, and every blue moon, I mean, I see her more now, so we hang out. But before, I liked when we talked because it felt more real. Anyone can
Mm-hmm.
text each other, and I'll tell you, how many things have been lost in translation between people over a text message?
Mm-hmm.
Shit ton. And you want to talk about blowing up social culture? You say the wrong thing out of context, or something gets twisted one little word, you're a bigot or you're a homophobe. It's like, whoa, that's not what I meant. I kind of meant this. So I think, look, social media is great. It has its good parts. Look, we do a podcast where people listen to us talk about things. This is pretty much social media without the craziness, or you know, um, the bombing of each other with things afterwards. We talk, and if people listen, awesome. Um,
Hmm.
every blue moon, I will get somebody to write something, and predominantly it's been good. But I can see where people have listened to this show, and when we had very large numbers and we did a show on abortion, and they dropped. So obviously we ruffled somebody's feathers at some point, which to me is the whole point of this show, is to ruffle feathers and talk. I again, I will tell anyone who ever wants to come on this show and talk, you're more than free to. I'll invite anyone on. I think that
Right.
those are the things that are going to keep us in the middle rather than pushing us apart.
Mm-hmm.
The social culture it's hard right now. I couldn't imagine being a young person. I just couldn't. I know my son, because I talked to him about those type of things. I was quite surprised to hear, look, we come from a culture that was different, and you could have two different political ideologies and still be together, come from different religions, still be together. It was much easier. I heard something now. They said that young men under the age of 25 are turning conservative, and young women under the age of 25 are turning leftist liberal, like progressive crazies. So if you're a conservative woman under the age of 25, you're going to be fishing in a barrel for men. It's going to be, you're going to have the pick of the litter,
Mm-hmm.
because there's going to be way more conservative men. And my son, who I think is kind of a middle ground walker, because we talk about certain, ideologies, I think he's very much middle, but probably leans a little more right, but not a lot. He's a gun guy. He believes in free speech and a couple other things. Millennials, I think, are where it's really bad. The they're so far away from each other on things, and they're the ones that are pointing fingers at each other. I think the above 40s to 60s, like our generation, Gen X, are just whatever. You don't, I can go and hang out with you at the bar. We can talk all night. We can argue over politics, and I'm still going to hug you, and we're going to see each other in a couple weeks. Why do you think that our generation is like that? Just because we were fucking latchkey kids
because I think we grew up without all the bullshit. Like I like social media. I like to catch up with my friends, but it doesn't change how I feel. The ones that are doing well and posting stuff, I'm like, hell yeah, I root for them, because I think that we don't have enough good in this world. So if I'm seeing they're happy, I'm like, yes. I don't think you should put stuff on social media if you're not happy. I think that just calls for everybody to be right smack in the middle of your problems. And
so
who wants that? But if you got a good head on your shoulders and you could be happy for your friends and you could not give a shit when they put something that you don't agree with on, it's fine. It doesn't, to me, social media doesn't affect me because I scroll through the shit I don't want to see and I don't think about it. I don't stop for it to become an issue. So for me, I could just scroll it all day and don't care, or just turn it off. But for the generations below us, because they grew up with that thing as their babysitter, how are they going to put it down and live a life? They can't even talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally feel like our age group could definitely be happy in today's social settings with everything that goes on, because I am happy. I worked really hard for my whole life to be happy. I was not a person that was happy when they woke up in the morning. That was never me. I was kind of bitchy until about 11. And then one day my ex said to me, you could wake up and choose to be happy tomorrow, and you will be. And I didn't believe him, so I gave it a shot and it worked. So I kept doing it. And before I knew it, it wasn't something I had to do. It was just something that I was.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what's going on in today's social climate, I believe that we could be happy, but it's a choice, just like everything else in this world is.
I agree with you. I heard something that is pretty much what he told you, but the best way I heard it was this, is that unhappiness is an inside job. You're only as unhappy as you continue to be unhappy. You can get up in the morning and go, my friend down the street, she's been taking me to church a lot and I've been getting a lot from it. I mean, a lot. But she said something one day and she goes, I wake up now and I go, I have a roof over my head. My kids are not sick. My mom's alive. Like, there is positives out there. Is there negatives? Absolutely. But you have to put the negatives on the back burner sometime. And it's true. Happiness is also an inside job. If you tell yourself you're happy and you continue to push to be happy, you're going to be happy. Are you going to be happy all the time? No, because that's not realistic either. Fuck, if you're happy 65 or 70% of the time.
No, but you could change your general attitude towards life. And if you change your general attitude towards life, you're going to look for the happy in it, not the crappy. And that's how I don't want to go into this, but I'm going to go into this. With religion, we talk about heaven or hell on a lot of different levels. And I've come to the conclusion that we live in a constant state of heaven or hell. It's just what we make it. If we choose to be miserable, we're going to be living in hell. If we choose to be happy, then we're going to be living in heaven, because there's no end to the possibilities on this earth that could happen. So how you look at things and your attitude towards what you see will create the type of environment that you have. And that's just the way it is. So if you want to be miserable, you're more than welcome to. You could do it right here. Now, there's a lot of shitty that goes on in this world, and I get that. And there's things that even I can't be happy with. But it's situational. It's not like depression. You know what I mean? It's just these certain things really bother me, and that's that. So I try to remind people where you're at right now. These problems are good to have. You're lucky to be alive. You're lucky you have a roof over your head. You're lucky you have enough money to buy you food. You're lucky that your kids still want to be around you. You're lucky that your car is driving now. Can you just take a moment and appreciate the fact you've got it okay? Because
Agreed.
there's so many reasons to not be happy, big ones.
Well,
that
and
we shouldn't be worrying about the little ones.
no, and look, I think, like you just said, I think the flip side of that is, though, the little good things should be amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't let the little bad things bring you down. Don't let the small happy things not get you up, because I think that, again, the social culture is just so angry right now. It's angry. You watch the news, you go on social media, with the exception of TikTok. And I'm kind of glad I kind of went into that, because there's a lot of things that I've, at least for me, that I'm finding that are a little more positive. And it's maybe just because my algorithm, and I'm trying to find things that are like that. I'm trying to be more positive now. I think that's my bigger thing. I was like I said, regardless of what you believe in religion or where you're at, like, for me, going to church has been nothing but helpful and opening me.
That makes me laugh about you, though, because I remember when we were like 16, you're like, yeah, I don't believe in God, period. And I was like, really? So what do you, where do you put your faith, or where do you find your strength? And you're like, for me, I don't agree. I don't believe in God. And I
Correct.
felt bad for you, because I was like, fuck, because I don't believe in me enough in all situations that I've had in life. I've had to turn to God and say, okay, I'm just going to put this in your hands because I don't have the strength. And I had at 16 already dealt with some really heavy issues in my life that a lot of kids didn't have to. So when you said that, I was like, how's he going to get through when this happens, or if that happens, or, and it's good to hear now that you've changed your tune. I mean, will you believe the same way I believe? Absolutely not. You're not supposed to. But
right.
I'm glad that you
may
believe enough to make your life better.
Right. Or I may believe exactly the way you believe.
I don't know if
You know what I mean?
I'm kind of off center a little bit.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Look, this is new to me. Like, very new to me. I think I've seen things, not to get off the topic of this social culture, but that religion is kind of the social culture as well. Look, we all see things get placed certain places. My friend down the street just went, hey, listen to this guy on YouTube. And I was like, okay. She goes, you gotta listen to him. His name's Jack Hibbs. He's a preacher. Just listen to him. I was like, okay. And look, she goes to church, but even for her, skipped, she didn't go all the time. And I started watching this guy, like, on my own. Like, it's not like I checked in with her, right? I was like, oh. And then I would, I would, every blue moon, I'd go, hey, I watched Jack, did you? And she's like, no, I didn't watch it. And I was like, oh, well, I did. You should check out this episode, blah, blah, blah. Well, now she goes to a church down the street from where I live. She goes, do you want to come and check it out? She goes, I'm going with my friend. And I said, look, I'd be interested in going because I want to go see Jack Hibbs, and he's not far from where we are. I mean, he's far, but not super far. But she's like, do you want to go over here? And I was like, yeah. And look, the whole point too of religion is to have someone maybe help you see that. I started seeing things years ago to where I thought, like, this just doesn't seem like it's not being pushed there by something else other than me. You know what I mean? So this isn't just her. I think the going and stepping foot inside the four walls of a church definitely is her, because I don't think, and look, I used to go, look, I went with somebody when I was 18, and you know her, and her grandparents owned a church, and it was nothing like where I've gone. Where I go now, as a matter of fact, I was talking to my friend about that church, and like, they were taking people up and like healing them, and like it was a totally different thing.
And see, and I always enjoyed church, and every time I went to that particular church, I slept. I sat in the back and I just fell asleep. And so did she.
And so did she. Yeah, I know. I was telling her that the other day. I go to this church, and it's, they're talking about how heavy metal music's the devil, and they're healing people and all this crap. And I lean over, and she's snoozing on my shoulder. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what you do for your girlfriend. But
what she did for her family too.
Yeah.
Because it did. She didn't want to be there.
And then there was another girl that I dated in like when I was 24, 25. And I lived with her. We bought a house together. Her grandparents owned a church, and I went to that one as well, which is more like where we go now, a little more, I hate to say regular, but more of just a regular Christian church. Where I go now is very nice. It's just a good place. And I think that the social culture there obviously is different because they're all, in the same faith and how they see things. But it's funny, we go there, and she kind of warned me before I went the first time. She goes, I'm just going to tell you, everyone's overly friendly. And I mean, overly friendly. And I was like, oh, whatever. And I had got there before she got there, and it was wild. Like, and it's great. Don't get me wrong, but it is odd in the social culture we live in where everyone's like, hey, how you doing? Shake your hand. Nice that you're here. Great for you to come. And it wasn't 2 people, Teen. It was 50. Like everyone said hi to you on Sunday morning and good morning. And so it was a very, it was a good thing to be outside of what you look at as the social culture of just being shitty, because you go other places and people are shitty. Go to the store. People are shitty. My boy told me that he was driving up the street, and he goes, look, I might've cut some lady off, but like, I didn't mean to. And it wasn't. She pulled up, rolled her window down, started screaming at him. So you know what my son did? He goes, hold on a second. And he took his seatbelt off, and he goes, get out of the fucking car. And she drove off. And look, and he wouldn't have got out of the car, but he was trying to like show like, look, stop. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry if I did this. So we're in a social culture now that is such a high level of anger. And I don't mean just for that.
It's ridiculous how even my friend started saying that I have Tourette's while I'm driving, because I'll be on the phone talking, and all of a sudden, you fucking asshole, and then go back to my conversation. And apparently I'm doing this quite a bit. And so my friends are like, dude, what's going on with you? I'm like, apparently I'm being an asshole because I can't keep my shit together. But equally, it's the other people too. Like, they expect you to get out of their way so that they could have their life. And I'm like, hello, I'm still trying to do mine too. Wait your fucking turn. Mm-hmm. See, there's a Tourette's.
Yeah. No, and
because I'm not a big cusser.
You're not.
There are my
That's
days, but we've had discussions about you not cussing, and you're like, no, Teen, you need to cuss more. Yeah. But now that I'm in the car and all this stuff is going on, like, excuse me, I can't keep my freaking mouth shut.
Oh, I bet you. Is it worse when you're on your bike?
No.
Really? I'm shocked because so many people don't see bikers and
I have
you get cut off a lot more.
A very big bike though, and I'm not a small person, so I think it adds to the size of it.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. A trike is big.
Yeah, it's very big. It's wide, and but I also think too, I'm having such a good freaking time. I don't give a shit what anybody's doing. Mm-hmm. And as long as they're not hitting me, I'm like, you have your way. I'm gonna just tool down the road.
Right. No, I hear you. I think that there's something to that.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how we're going to curb this without like it getting worse. Like and maybe it's just going to get worse before it gets better. I think our generation, it's not going to matter. Like we're getting older. Even though we use social media, we use it for probably not at the same level, but the social cultures are inside everywhere else. Like, look, if you're an older person, you're going to end up working with younger people who don't believe the same thing as you, and you're going to be a boomer, or even though we get called boomers and we're nowhere near that. So I think that it's just a different thing. And look, we're going to have to do it, but I think that the culture is hurting each other at every age. It's not just old people and young people. It's young people and young people. If you believe something different, you're like the enemy. And it's like, how can I get them fired? How can I ruin their life? It's like, wait a second. I just posted something on social media that if you don't agree with it, don't. And I think that's the bigger problem. We're at a part now where, I can read something on social media and scroll right fucking past it and like, whatever. And I have friends that are stout liberals, like super liberal, progressive liberal, and I just fucking ignore them. Boop, 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 boop. Keep going. But heaven forbid I post something and I've been called all kinds of things by people that I thought were friends. And I'm like, whatever. But
see, that's
I come
the thing
back
is
around.
like, why would you use these tools to put so much validity into everything? Like, by now, I'll tell you what I use this shit for. I want to like look and make sure everybody's kids are growing and everything's looking cute. And then I want to send dirty jokes. So all of my friends, and Rob could even attest to this, the only thing I'm sending is a dirty text,
that too.
a dirty text or a, can you believe this shit's going on? Like,
right.
It's never anything. Do I ever offend you?
No, but I'm really hard to offend.
I am too, but
so,
I don't.
Look, we
keep
send
it light.
memes to each other. We send memes to each other that I'm sure borderline would offend our friends.
No, my friends could take it.
No, I didn't say they couldn't take it. They would just be offended and not tell you. You know what I mean?
I tell them to tell me. I'm like, if you want to be like that, tell me. Let's talk about this. And they do. There's times I'm like, really? You're going to be offended by that? And then I'll tell them to their face they're stupid. I'm like, don't get offended.
I sent some memes to my friend down the street that just happened to all come along my algorithm that were about oral sex. And she goes, are you trying to tell me something with a theme? And I go, it just happened to come across. And I ended up sending her one more. And she goes, okay, you're done. And I was like, okay, like, I'm okay with getting cut off if I like, and I didn't offend her. I just think that she was like, okay, like enough of this one. Like, because I went right back and sent her another joke right after that she was like, okay, that's funny. So it was just like enough of this type of joke. Like, I get it. And look, and that could be for a lot of different reasons between me and her. And it could be look, me and my best friend who is Hispanic and my other friend who's Black are in a group text together. We send shit to each other that is borderline the most racist, sexist, horrible shit, dark humor, like super dark. I mean, as dark as my Black friend. Ha, get it? That was a good joke.
There it goes.
Exactly. That's the kind of shit we send to each other. And like, have we offended each other? Probably. And if it's too far, we say something. But my friend who's Black says horribly things about white people all the time. And I giggle because 9 times out of 10, they're really fucking funny. They're just funny. Like, so I think you know your audience, right? Like, I know if you send me something, you probably know, this isn't going to offend him. It's like, or
I don't care. That's
or you don't
more,
care.
I don't care. I'm like, he'll get over it. Like, because I know that we have that relationship.
But that's perfect. That's what we all need to do.
Yeah.
Stop being fucking, aluminum foil and start being Teflon. Let it hit you and slide the fuck off and go, okay, that's just his sense of humor, or that's just their political view. Because if we don't, we're going to live in fucking misery. I'd rather live with a bunch of people who have dark senses of humor that talk about look, me and you have talked about a lot of different things, and our moms obviously both aren't with us anymore. My mom couldn't have been, she wasn't dead a year, I don't think. And at work, we were talking about someone was talking about taking Mother's Day off. And I went, well, no reason for me to. She's dead. And I said it just like that. And like, it got really quiet around, like, and I was like, my mom would have laughed at that. It's funny. She's dead. Like, I can't change that part of it. I don't need Mother's Day off anymore. So it's not a big deal. And I think, so that's how, maybe that's just an unhealthy coping mechanism for me. You know what I mean?
Is it unhealthy though? I don't think it is. When my mom passed away, we had just gotten her ashes and they were sitting on the kitchen table. And my cousin came in and I was sitting there and I said, hey, baby, you need to put some lotion on your elbows. They're ashy. And he came back with your mama's ashy. And like the whole kitchen and living room went dead silent. Everybody was like, because I was the one that found my mom dead. We weren't expecting her to die. You know, I just gotten her ashes from the crematorium. I think that's what it's called. And
exactly.
And everybody, like, you could hear a pin drop. And I thought that was the funniest freaking thing. Rude as all hell. I mean, totally insensitive, but it was a good
amazing.
one.
That's amazing.
And we laughed our asses off. And after that, your mama jokes became a thing that we say constantly now.
Yeah. Which you should.
Yeah, well, we should. But that was the most inappropriate time for your mama joke. And I got to laugh at that.
That, I hate to say it, but you should high five that person every time you see them. That's an amazing joke.
Well, I just got him back with some of his your mama stuff. We're really in my family, with me and my friends and my brother especially, we're very crude when it comes to your mama jokes. We don't hold back. Like, your mama jokes are the jokes.
That's top notch.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. That's a top notch joke.
But it also taught me that life doesn't always have to be serious, even though the situation is.
Here's my thing about things like that, of social culture in general. What you said, what you and your brother said at your mom's casket says it all. You see what I mean? And if you haven't listened to the show, you need to go back and listen to shows, because
Should I just tell them?
You tell them, but you have to go back and listen to it, because you've said it a lot and it's a classic. And it just goes to show you that, like, you, even in death, you still saw your mom for who she was. Because none of us want our mom to die, but you still saw something in the moment that reminded you of who she was. And that's what's great about it.
Yeah,
say the joke, or say what you said.
At the time that my mom died, everything in my world was pretty much imploding in huge ways. Like, the loss that I was going through was immense. And when my mom died, I pretty much couldn't take more, although more came after she passed. But at that point, I was just hit. I had found her dead, wasn't expecting her to die. It was 2 days before one of my best friend's weddings. Like, I was in a different frame of mind. And I couldn't get into the house, so I came through the back door into the kitchen. I saw that she was dead. And for a half hour, I couldn't even get into my phone because I had the lock on it. I couldn't remember the number, and I was in a bad place. So I finally got the thing open and got everybody there, and everybody was there for me, and nobody left my side. So the day that my mom's funeral happened, my brother said, don't go up without me. I'm going to go and see her with you. And I said, okay. So I got there first, and I waited in the back because my brother told me to, and we walked up together, and we're holding on to each other, and we're very close to each other. And we're just looking at her, and the energy between us was just getting really hard to bear. And I looked at him and I said, oh God, Daddy, I said, look at her hair. She's got bangs. They took the part of her hair that she had been burning, lighting her cigarette on a stove. And they made like forward tubular bangs out of it. And I go, take a look at her bangs. And he looked, and we started laughing, and we couldn't stop laughing. The whole place went dead silent because all they saw is us leaning into each other and we were bouncing because we were laughing, but it was quiet. But we were in hysterics though. For quite a bit. And people to this day come up and, clients that went to my mom's funeral and they said, "Oh my God, it broke my heart when you and your brother went up there and you just started sobbing." And I tell them, I said, "We weren't sobbing. I was making fun of her bangs." And everybody was like, "You mean you broke my heart for nothing?" That's what everybody seems to tell me. That just hurt my heart so much. And I'm like, well, it was a moment, but the moment was us laughing because my mom had a sick sense of humor. She had a shirt that I wanted to bury her in that said it's only funny till somebody gets hurt. Then it's hilarious. And that was her sense of humor. Like, she used to laugh at the most inappropriate times. And I do the same. And my brother's not one to let go, but he's a little more, a little less out there on it. I'm just like, laughing my head off and everybody knows. But I also tell people, if I fall or if I do something that I would laugh at, you better catch me when I'm falling, because I can't help it either way. It's just the sense of humor that she raised us to have.
Exactly.
And so, you got to learn, the energy, when the energy gets too much, my brother and I can't deal seriously. We go straight to humor because that's the way that we cope. But I got to tell you, it's better than going into that hole that just is bigger and bigger and yet it's emptier and more hurtful. Like, I can't do that spiral. So
Exactly.
we've learned to make fun of her being ashy, to make fun of her bangs, to make fun that she burnt her hair all the time trying to light a cigarette on the stove. Like, that was her. We didn't like that she did that at the time, but now we make fun of it because that's who she was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we've all got to get a little bit thicker of a skin. And I was told by one of my family members, I'm offended. And I said, I don't give a fuck if you're offended. I've never cared if you get offended. A matter of fact is I go lives to try to offend people with what I say. So why would you think I'd care now? Like, it's not going to happen. And we all need to get that thicker skin. We just do.
I agree. And I think, look, at the end of the day, if we all get thicker skin, the social climate will just be better.
Yep.
We'll all have friends. We'll all be okay. We'll all, not be at odds with each other. And I think that this is the problem, like, where people live today, right? And they don't talk to each other in public because they're so afraid to see what's going to happen next. Are these people going to like me? Are they going to say anything? If I say the wrong thing, they're going to do this. It's like, I couldn't imagine, the climate of working in a lot of places today and worrying about if you say one little thing wrong, that the whole world's going to come down on you. Like, literally, people are going to try to take your job, call your boss, tell all your friends, get you kicked off this. It's like, look, I just want to live. I want to go to work, have some fun, have some laughs with my friends. If I offend you, whatever, be offended. Like, that's your prerogative. And if you don't like me, that's fine, but you shouldn't try to ruin my life, because I'm not going to try to ruin yours. I'm just going to go, yeah, that guy's a fucking asshole, and move on.
Exactly. I mean, you don't need to put people so far in your life that they have so much of an opinion that you're always struggling to be happy. Like, just keep them at bay and enjoy your life and don't look back.
Exactly. And just try to have a good time.
Seriously.
None of us get out of this shit alive.
That's for sure.
So at the end of the day, we're not going to look back on our lives and go, man, if I would have just got that guy fired, I'd be happier.
You know what amazes me is I was too dark for my white side of the family and too white for the dark side of the family. I never really felt like I fit in. And now I look at and I didn't want to be around family. I didn't want to hear their shit. I didn't want to hear their opinions. That everybody had one and they were all crazy, according to me. So I had a really hard time with it. But as they've all gone, I think to myself, what a waste. Like, we all let time go by that we're not ever going to get back because we didn't want to deal with somebody, or we didn't want to be offended. My whole philosophy was kick her ass, and then, everybody will get right, because you bully a bully and then it's good, like once you do that, they won't bully you anymore. But now everybody's just so uptight. Like, you can't take a joke. You can't take somebody's opinions. Come on. If you're that offended, go sit in a fucking hole somewhere, because you need not be around society, because society is they're supposed to stimulate your mind. They're supposed to cause you to think and grow and change and evolve. And you can't if you're not hearing people's opinions.
Correct.
Just can't.
That's the only way we're ever going to grow as a society.
Or get to know somebody.
Mm-hmm. We have to have different opinions. We have to. It's the only way that we're going to survive as a culture, I think. And look, just try to be open to stuff. And if you're offended, move on.
If you're offended, stay away.
And stop living on social media. It's not real.
Yep.
Everything you see is a crock of shit. None of it's real. So, all right, darling, it's been fun. Anything you want to say here at the end of our lovely 45 minutes?
Have a good week.
Yes, I agree. And we'll see you next Wednesday. Check us out on the social medias when we're on. Check us out on anywhere that you can see one of these or listen to one of these shows. We're everywhere. Please share it with your friends. Make sure they all know about the craziness that we talk about. Feel free to get a hold of us, and we'd love to have you on the show. Until next week, that's Tina over there. I'm Rob. It's an opinion show. Don't get it twisted. We'll see you in a week. Bye.
See ya.